celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life with Sterling Fox on AM 650.
Welcome back on Boomer Life. Today we're talking about appliances with Jack McIver of McIver's Appliances here in Vancouver, now in their 50th year, not all of which has been at 610 Southeast Marine Drive, but that's where you'll find them in 2014. You started out on the west side. It was on West 6th Avenue in Kitts, wasn't it, Jack, the first store?
First store in 1964 was on West 4th Avenue.
4th Avenue,
3510 West 4th, and the rent was $55 a month.
Wow.
And then we moved from there to Boundary and Kingsway, where we had a 13,000 square foot building, and business was booming. We were the largest GE dealer in BC at those days, and from there we moved to 854 West 6th, where we bought an acre of land and a 14,000 square foot building.
That's the West 6 address that's stuck in my head.
And then we operated the two stores for a couple of years, and when the lease ended, we just operated with the one store.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that for 23 years there.
One of the reasons you've been as successful as you have for as long as you have is your ability to innovate. You troubleshoot, you figure out what the problem is, and by gosh, you come up with a remedy for the problem. In a lot of cases, you're kind of improvising on the spot, but you have a background that is just you're a hands-on kind of guy, and if there's a way to get something done that's reasonable, you'll find it and get it done.
That's right. And we did have a situation where about a 40-suite apartment building, and it has all 18-inch dishwashers.
Okay.
And so we're doing repairs on them and replacing them. And we found that about 4 years ago, that the 18-inch dishwashers had a very short life. The computers would go on them, or something would break, and everything was too light, and the standards weren't really enough. And people, an 18-inch dishwasher gets used a lot more than a 24-inch dishwasher.
Sure,
because
it does.
It's small.
Yeah.
So anyway, one of them failed.
Is this in a rental or a condo?
It's a rental.
Okay, a condo. Okay, a rental
rental
building, 50 units. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I looked the situation over, and I saw where if we cut the cupboard door down next to it and moved the inner wall over, that we could fit a 24-inch. We were getting 6 inches because we were just about up to the sink inside, but not up right against it. So we talked to the owner and said, I'll get a guy to come in and do that for you.
To modify the kitchen cabinets.
Modify that.
Sure,
and make it look proper.
Right.
And put in the 24-inch dishwasher. And then he did a kitchen, and he left a space for a 24-inch, and we put one in there. And then we had another failure, and he said, well, what do you think? And I said, well, we can do the same as we did before. He says, oh, yeah, because I don't want to put another new kitchen in. I says, well, you may have to in some of them, but all the ones you don't have to, we'll get the handyman to
just modify the cupboards. Yeah, sure.
So he said, anyway, Jack, I trust you to do the proper thing for me. I said, I've known you a long time. And I said, yeah, I understand. And I says, that's the idea, is to get the job done and make it reasonable so that it works for both of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was that story. And then we had a situation where an architect customer of mine, in kind of it's not a old house, not a ancient house, but it's from the 30s, and it's west of Burrard on 14th Avenue.
Okay.
And they're very nice old houses there.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, they were doing this kitchen over, and we took out about a 35-year-old double oven, the oven on two ovens on top of each other, and got that out, and they were getting everything ready. And I was looking over the situation for the venting for the new hood we were going to put in, and I said to the fellow's wife, I said, rather than go through all the trouble to do the venting and try and do it here. It doesn't look easy. She says, oh, no, it's not easy. She says, we've looked at that. And I says, I've got access to a outside fan that we can put on the outside by the door here, and it will pick up what the other one sends out on the no vent way that comes through the top of the hood,
Right.
and sort of goes up to the ceiling, and we can pick that up with this other one
And just pull it outside.
and just pull it outside.
Right.
And so anyway, we got that all done. So after I was back there to the house checking things out, and I said, well, how's it going? She says, it works like a charm, Jack. Just like I knew it would, she said.
You improvised, and it worked.
Well, it's utilizing stuff out of the box. I mean, you don't have to do what big business tells you to do. I don't listen to any big business. They don't tell me anything. I just go and do what I do, and I've got a lot, thousands and thousands of satisfied customers.
Yeah, you talked about, and we've talked about this concept. You have, again, we talked about your business model and how 50 years ago you set out to organize and build a business based on certain principles of honesty, ethical business practices, respect for your clients, respect for your staff and coworkers. One of the things that you talk about as part of the business model is something called waiting for a customer to mature. What exactly does that mean?
Well, that means that a lot of people grow up thinking that you can get a deal by buying price. Now,
As in, go for the lowest price wherever possible.
always.
Yeah.
And you'll talk to people. I never pay retail.
Right.
I'm this, I'm that.
Yeah.
And
I know folks like that who are
and
proud to never
yeah,
pay
they're proud.
retail.
And I say to them, well, that's no problem.
Mm-hmm.
What we've got here to offer, all of it that you see that you don't want, other people do. So I'm not upset that you don't find us desirable at this moment. But knowing full well, as they go through this low-end situation of the best price and this and that,
And buying
they're
products,
always shorting themselves.
because they're buying products that you've already told us 20 minutes ago are built to last maybe 5 to 7 years.
Yes.
This is planned obsolescence. This is the way we used to buy cars in the 50s
But
and 60s,
when you get a flipper, a person who buys things, band-aids them up and gets them operating and sells them off,
Right.
you're not going to get them because it works for them, because they pass the pain along.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They don't. It's not about keeping anything. It's
No.
just flipping it.
No.
Right.
But that's pretty much come to flipping's not easy to do nowadays.
Right. So the idea of waiting for a customer to mature is simply go through a couple of bad experiences buying inferior quality products, get ripped off a couple of times, and you'll be a very different consumer, won't you?
And also to see a company that has been in 50 years, business 50 years, and has been able to operate without that group of customers.
Right.
But we'll deal with them, but we deal on our terms.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually they find out when they mature that is the proper way to do things, because the guy's stuff lasts longer and he's got service and he's got parts.
Right.
But when you come out of the brainwashing machine that we live in, with marketing, they're not ready to listen to Jack McIver's story.
Right.
So I say, fine. It doesn't bother me.
They'll come around eventually.
Well,
and
not,
of course,
not all of them.
And
but
the other side of that coin is that, those people who are long-term McIver's appliances now have descendants. You routinely see and sell appliances and service appliances for the sons and daughters of your original customers, and now you're starting to see the grandkids coming in the door.
That's right.
That's pretty nice.
Yes, but you got to remember too, Sterling. The products that I've got to sell may not even be here had I not done the purchasing of them and developed the lines of supply.
Right. Because you, in many cases, sell product lines that are simply not sold anywhere else.
No.
And the reason for that simply is because you're not interested in selling anything else. You've spent a lot of years narrowing it down and narrowing it down to the good stuff.
Yeah, but the problem is, if the other products that I was able to get our hands on, say, were of the durability and had the value of the products that we presently are selling, our rebuilt appliances are fabulous value. I remember a story a guy told me back in the...
I need to take a break, and I wanted to get into the whole rebuild thing.
I'll get back on that story.
Okay, because no, it's the rebuild. I mean, in many, many cases, as Jack has pointed out, again, going back to the standard stories and how things have been built differently since the mid to late 80s, and all the standards changed. There's a lot to be said for thinking about rebuilding a solid older unit versus buying a, well, shall we say, shiny new unit. And we'll leave it at there and take a quick break on Boomer Life here on AM 650.
It's all about the baby boomer lifestyle. Boomer Life on AM 650.